Connor Reed was not supposed to be there. He was just an engineer, not a diplomat, not a soldier, and definitely not someone who handled alien politics. But when the original tech specialist got food poisoning hours before the first contact with the Reverie Empire, Connor got pulled in. Just stand there, smile, and fix anything that breaks, his captain had said. Simple enough, Connor thought. He had no idea that today would change his life forever. The Reverie were tall, elegant beings with glowing patterns on their skin. Their capital ship was massive and beautiful, floating like a shining beast above the human fleet. Everything was going smoothly. The air smelled weird, but Connor didn't mind. He was too busy admiring the alien tech. Then came the ceremony. The humans were invited into a grand hall filled with lights, music, and strange symbols carved into the walls. The Reverie Empress stood on a high platform, speaking in perfect translated English. "Let this day mark the bond between our species," she said. Connor wasn't really listening. He was staring at a hovering display that seemed to run on plasma and light. It reminded him of an old Earth gaming console. Fascinated, he took a step closer. "Engineer Reed," a voice said behind him. He turned. A tall Reverie male offered him a small silver cup filled with a glowing blue liquid. "A gift of unity," the alien said. Connor hesitated. The whole room was watching. Cameras from both sides were pointed at him. His mouth was dry. So he shrugged. "Sure, anything for peace," he said, and drank it. The room went completely silent. The Reverie Empress stood up. "It is done," she said. A trumpet-like sound played. A door opened and a figure stepped through. She was clearly Reverie, tall, strong, glowing. But her armor was decorated with medals, and her eyes locked onto Connor with sharp interest. "This is Princess Kalara, heir to the Reverie throne," the Empress announced. "The human has accepted her binding cup. The bond is complete." Connor blinked. "Wait, what bond?" The translator whispered in his ear, "You have accepted the sacred cup of joining. You are now life-bound to the princess." He laughed nervously. "You're joking, right?" Kalara walked straight up to him. "You just married me, human," she said. "Congratulations." Connor stared at her, then at the cup, then at the human delegation. They all looked like they were about to faint. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Oh man, I really need a manual next time." Connor stood frozen. Everyone was clapping. Well, the Reverie version of clapping, which sounded more like humming and strange hand movements. The human diplomats were whispering to each other in panic. No one seemed to know what to do. Except for the princess. Kalara walked up to Connor, her tall figure wrapped in shining armor, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She had a serious face, like a soldier ready for battle. "You drank the binding cup," she said calmly. "You are now my consort." Connor blinked. "Consort? As in, husband?" "Yes." He laughed again, hoping this was still some big joke. "I think there's been a mistake," he said, taking a step back. "I'm just a guy who fixes wires and builds things. I don't even own a plant, let alone a crown." Kalara didn't smile. She tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle. "Do you wish to dishonor our alliance in front of both our people?" she asked. Her voice was calm but sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. Connor looked around. The Empress was watching. The other Reverie nobles were waiting. Cameras floated silently above them. He sighed. "Okay, maybe we just slow this down. I mean, can't we undo the whole marriage by mystery drink thing?" Kalara raised an eyebrow. "To break the bond now would be seen as an insult. My people may view it as betrayal. It could start problems. Problems like war." "Exactly." Connor gave a weak smile. "Great, just great." The Empress stepped forward again. "The human has accepted the bond. As tradition demands, let the union be sealed." Kalara leaned in slightly. Connor's eyes widened. "Wait, hold on. What do you mean by sealed?" Before he could step away, Kaylera placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Then she kissed him, not on the lips, thankfully, just the forehead. It was fast, official, and surprisingly respectful. The Ravari crowd hummed louder. The ceremony was over. "You may now join the royal house," someone announced. Connor stared at Kaylera. "So what now?" "You will come with me," she said. "We must begin your training." Training. To be part of the Ravari royal family, you must learn our language, customs, and combat. Combat. She turned, already walking away. Every consort of the royal blood must be able to defend their title. Connor followed, rubbing his forehead. "Oh man, I'm gonna die before breakfast tomorrow." Back on the human side, his captain whispered to another officer, "We need to contact Earth Command. Immediately." And with that, the wedding ended, and Connor Reed, human engineer, accidental diplomat, and now royal consort, was officially married to a warrior alien princess. Connor stared at the ceiling of his new room. Well, chamber was the right word. It was huge, shining with silver walls and floating lights. There was no bed, just a soft glowing platform he had no idea how to use. "This can't be real," he muttered. A robot assistant floated into the room. "Your training begins at sunrise," it said in a cheerful voice. "Please rest well, Consort Reed." "Don't call me that," Connor groaned, tossing a pillow at the robot. It dodged easily and hovered away. As the door closed, Connor sat up. "Okay, time to go." He pulled on his jacket, grabbed a few tools he always carried in his belt, and peeked out into the hallway. Two tall Ravari guards stood there, completely still. Their armor looked like it could punch through a wall. Connor closed the door again. "Okay, plan B." He turned toward the vent system he'd spotted earlier. Ravari tech was advanced, but every ship still needed air. He unscrewed the cover quickly and climbed inside. The metal was cold and the tunnel tight, but he kept crawling. "All I need is one shuttle," he whispered. "One small ship, and I'm out of here." After 20 minutes, he dropped into a quiet hangar filled with sleek Ravari fighters. He smiled. Freedom was in sight. Going somewhere, human. Connor froze. A shadow moved behind one of the ships. Princess Kaylera stepped out, arms crossed, a small smirk on her face. How did you know I'd come here?" he asked. "You're an engineer. Where else would you run?" she said. Connor raised his hands. "Look, it's not personal. I just don't want to be married to someone I met 2 hours ago." Kaylera stepped closer. "Do you think I asked for this? I was preparing to lead troops into battle, not tie myself to a soft-spoken human who can't even hold a blade." Connor frowned. "Hey, I may be soft-spoken, but I'm not useless." She tilted her head. "Really? Because right now, you are one step away from starting a diplomatic disaster." Connor sighed. "You're serious, huh?" Kaylera nodded. "If you leave, it will be seen as betrayal. The Ravari take loyalty seriously. There would be consequences. For your people, too." He looked at the ship, then back at her. "Fine," he said, lowering his arms. "I'll stay. For now." Kaylera gave a short nod. "Wise choice. But I want some answers, and I'm not sleeping on that glowing table again." "You may negotiate," she said. "You are my consort, not my prisoner." As they walked back toward the royal chambers, Connor muttered, "This has to be the weirdest honeymoon in the galaxy." Kaylera glanced at him. "What is a honeymoon?" Connor groaned. "Oh boy, we've got a lot to talk about." Connor didn't think things could get more awkward, but that was before Kaylera invited him to dinner with her family. Correction, summoned him. "I don't think I'm dressed right for a royal dinner," Connor said, looking at his plain gray jacket and scuffed boots. Kaylera looked him over. "You look like yourself. That is enough." "Gee, thanks. That's very comforting." The dinner was held in a giant hall, glowing with soft blue lights, and strange floating decorations. The table was long, very long, and filled with strange dishes that wriggled, glowed, or steamed mysteriously. Connor sat beside Kalara at the center. Around them were some of the most powerful Reverie in the Empire, her mother, the Empress, who looked like she could crush a planet with a glance, her older brother, Commander Varen, who had robotic arms and a scar running down his face, her aunt, General Sava, who was rumored to have assassinated 3 kings during wartime. No pressure. Everyone stared at Connor like he was a new species of bug. "So," Varen said slowly, "this is the human who drank the binding cup." Connor gave a nervous smile. "Hi. Yep. That's me. Big misunderstanding." "No misunderstandings in tradition," General Sava said coldly. "Only choices." Connor stabbed a glowing green cube on his plate and tried not to throw up as it twitched. "Yeah. Well, sometimes humans make choices very quickly." The Empress finally spoke. "Do you have honor, human Connor?" He nearly choked on the cube. "Excuse me. You are now bound to my daughter. That means you must protect her, support her, and never bring shame to her name. Can you do that?" Connor glanced at Kalara. She wasn't smiling. She was watching carefully. He sat up straighter. "Look, I'm not a soldier or a prince. I don't know your customs, but I respect Kalara. I didn't plan any of this, but I'm not running. So yeah, I'll do my best." Silence. Then the Empress nodded once. A better answer than most. Connor let out a breath. He took another bite of whatever was on his plate. Still gross, but now he was getting used to it. After the meal, the guests left one by one. Varen stopped beside Connor, resting a heavy hand on his shoulder. "If you hurt my sister, I will challenge you in the arena." Connor nodded quickly. "Yep. Got it. No hurting. Big arena. Very scary. Thanks." Kalara walked beside him as they returned to their chambers. "You did well," she said quietly. Connor gave a tired smile. "Is it always like this with your family?" She looked thoughtful. "No, tonight was calm." Connor stopped walking. "Wait, that was calm." Kalara didn't answer. She just kept walking. Connor sighed. "I miss Earth, and sandwiches, and nobody trying to stab me at dinner." Connor finally started getting used to his new life. Kind of. He still didn't understand half the buttons in his room. He still missed Earth food, and he still had no idea how to act like a royal consort. But at least Kalara had stopped glaring at him like he was a walking problem. That was progress. Until the ship was attacked. The alarms blared in the middle of the night. Loud, sharp tones followed by a robotic voice. "Warning. Unauthorized boarding detected." Connor jumped off his glowing bed table and ran into the hallway. Guards were already shouting and moving fast. Kalara appeared in full armor, sword in hand, calm and deadly. "Stay here," she ordered. "Wait, what's happening?" "Assassins," she said, "from the Shadow Crest. They want you dead." Connor's eyes widened. "Me? Why me?" "Some believe your presence weakens the royal bloodline. Killing you sends a message." Connor laughed nervously. "Okay, well, message received. Can we not let that happen?" Kalara glanced at the guards. "Lock this hallway. No one in or out unless I return." Then she was gone, moving like lightning. Connor paced back and forth. He hated feeling useless. He wasn't a warrior, but he was an engineer. He understood systems, machines, and tech. He pulled out a small toolkit from his belt and popped open a nearby wall panel. "Let's see if Reverie security is as fancy as it looks," he muttered. Inside the wall were dozens of glowing wires and circuits. Connor traced the lines until he found something interesting, a stealth field jammer. The assassins must have used it to sneak aboard. With a few quick tweaks, he reversed the signal and sent a pulse through the ship's network. Suddenly, half a dozen glowing red shapes lit up on the hallway monitor, cloaked figures moving toward the royal chamber. Gotcha, Connor said. He grabbed the intercom. Kaylara, 6 hostiles moving toward the eastern passage. Cloaks are down. There was a pause. Then Kaylara's voice. Confirmed. Good work, consort. Connor grinned. He liked the sound of that. Good work. A few minutes later, the alarm stopped. The Empress herself came to see him. You were the target, she said, and yet you helped stop the attack. Impressive. Connor shrugged. Well, I didn't really feel like dying tonight. Kaylara stood beside her mother, arms crossed. You could have hidden. You didn't. Connor looked at her. I said I'd do my best. I meant it. The Empress turned to leave. Perhaps the bond was not a mistake after all. Kaylara stepped closer. I owe you thanks. Connor smiled. You can thank me with less sword training tomorrow. No promises, she said, but there was a tiny smile on her lips. As the lights dimmed and the ship returned to normal, Connor realized something strange. He wasn't just surviving here. He was starting to belong. Connor regretted everything, especially saying, you can thank me with less sword training tomorrow. Because now he was standing in the Royal Combat Arena, sweating, holding a too-heavy training blade, and facing Kaylara, who looked like she could break a starship with one arm. This feels unfair, Connor muttered. Kaylara handed him a small shield. You're lucky I gave you the shield. Do you want me to survive this or just look brave doing it? Both. The arena floor lit up beneath them, signaling the start. Kaylara attacked with speed and grace. Connor, however, swung like someone chasing a fly with a stick. She dodged easily, spinning behind him and tapping his back with her blade. That's 1 point, she said calmly. I thought we were warming up. That was warm. 10 minutes later, Connor was on the ground, panting, covered in dust, and questioning every life decision that led to this moment. Kaylara offered a hand. You lasted longer than yesterday. Is that a compliment or an insult? Both. He laughed, even as he groaned in pain. So what's the point of all this? I'm not a soldier. You are my consort, she said. People will challenge you. Some with words, some with weapons. You must be ready. Great, Connor said. Alien politics sounds like high school, but with knives. Kaylara handed him a towel. You're improving. Your footwork was less terrible today. Wow, Connor said. Such kind words. I feel very supported. She actually smiled, just a little. As they left the arena, Kaylara led him through a garden full of floating lanterns and glowing blue flowers. For once, things were peaceful. You were brave during the assassin attack, she said suddenly. Connor glanced at her. Thanks. I figured if I was going to die, might as well try to help. She stopped walking. Most people panic or run. You acted. Connor looked around, then sat on a stone bench. I didn't plan to be here. I didn't want to be married to someone I'd never met. But you're not so bad. And I don't hate it here. Kaylara raised an eyebrow. Not so bad. I mean, I'm still sore all the time and your food moves on its own. But yeah, it could be worse. She sat beside him. I didn't choose this either, Connor. But the bond is real now. It links our lives. He nodded slowly. Then maybe we should try actually being partners, not just two strangers with matching wedding bands. Kaylara turned to him. In Raveri culture, true partners fight, grow, and lead together. Connor smiled. Well, I'm learning how to fight, one bruise at a time. Kaylara stood. Then we begin again tomorrow. He groaned. I walked into that one, didn't I? She looked over her shoulder with the tiniest smirk. Yes, but you're learning. Connor had just finished another exhausting sword training session when an alarm echoed across the palace walls. Emergency meeting of the Royal Circle. All members report immediately. Kaylara stopped mid-swing. That's not a drill. Connor wiped sweat from his face. What happened? Kaylura didn't answer. She grabbed her communicator and listened. Her expression darkened. "There's been an attack," she said, "on one of our border planets." "Another assassination attempt." No, this was a full strike. A powerful one. And it wasn't from any known enemy. Within minutes, Kaylura and Connor were in the Royal Council chamber. Giant holograms showed destroyed buildings, smoke rising from alien cities, and unidentified ships leaving the scene. The Reverie generals stood in silence. The Empress was furious. "This wasn't just a raid," she said. "It was a message." Connor looked at the footage. The ships didn't match any he had studied since coming aboard, but something felt familiar. "Pause that image," Connor said, pointing to one of the ships on screen. A few nobles looked annoyed. He was just a human, after all. But the Empress raised a hand. "Explain," she said. Connor walked closer. "Zoom in on that symbol." It was small, a faded mark on the ship's wing. But Connor recognized it. His eyes widened. "That's Earth tech," he said. "Or something based on it. That's not Reverie. That's human design." The chamber fell silent. Kaylura stepped forward. "Are you sure?" Connor nodded. "Yes, I worked with ships like that. Modified, but definitely human parts." The Empress narrowed her eyes. "Are you saying your people did this?" Connor raised his hands quickly. No. But someone with access to human tech might have. Pirates. Rogue factions. Maybe even someone trying to frame us." One of the generals growled. "Or perhaps this accidental consort is not so accidental after all." Connor flinched. Kaylura stepped in front of him. "Enough. Connor saved lives during the last attack. He's no traitor." The Empress stared at Connor. "If what you say is true, then someone is trying to destroy this alliance. You must find out who." "Me?" Connor asked, pointing at himself. "Yes," said the Empress. "You are the only one who understands both sides. You will investigate." Kaylura added, "And I will go with you." Connor sighed. "Why do I feel like this is going to get me shot at again?" Kaylura gave a rare smile. "Because it probably will." As the council meeting ended, Connor followed Kaylura out of the room. "Are we really doing this?" he asked. "We are," she said. "We have to protect the Alliance, and you may be the only one who can uncover the truth." Connor looked at the stars through the palace window. "Great," he muttered. "First I accidentally get married, now I'm leading an interstellar investigation." Kaylura looked at him. "Life with you is never boring." He laughed. "You say that now. Wait till I start asking for coffee every 5 minutes." The next morning, Connor stood in the hangar, staring at the sleek Reverie scout ship they would take for their mission. "Does this thing come with seatbelts?" he asked. Kaylura raised an eyebrow. "Seat belts. You know, straps to stop you from flying through the windshield if something explodes." Kaylura gave him a flat look. "This ship doesn't explode. Unless you touch something you shouldn't." Connor raised both hands. "Noted." They boarded the ship and took off quickly. Their first destination was the outer trade routes, places where smugglers and pirates often did business. If someone had human tech, they likely got it there. Hours later, the ship exited hyperspace above a dusty gray moon with scattered buildings and one small station. It was known as Targa's Rest, a neutral ground for traders and criminals. "Let me do the talking," Kaylura said as they landed. "Absolutely," Connor replied. "Last time I opened my mouth, I got married." Inside the station, the air smelled like burnt metal and old socks. Strange aliens walked past them, some with glowing skin, others with extra arms or no heads at all. Everyone stared at Kaylura with quiet fear. "Remind me never to get on your bad side," Connor whispered. They entered a shady bar filled with smoke and loud music. Kaylura approached the bartender, a slimy creature with 4 eyes and a sneaky smile. "We're looking for someone selling Earth tech," she said, voice sharp. The bartender blinked slowly. Earth tech. Might have heard something. Might not. Connor stepped forward and placed a small glowing cube on the counter. It hummed softly. Memory crystal, he said, fresh and unregistered. The bartender snatched it up. Now I remember. Group came through a few cycles ago. Called themselves the Black Sun Syndicate. Human leader. Smart. Dangerous. Where can we find them? Kalara asked. Word is they're hiding in the wreck belt. Old war zone. Dangerous place. Connor frowned. Why would they be there? The bartender leaned closer. Because they're building something. Big. Real big. Kalara and Connor exchanged a glance. On their way back to the ship, Kalara said quietly, this syndicate, if they're using human tech and hiding in dead space, they might be preparing for war. Connor nodded slowly. And if that's true, they could be trying to break the peace between Earth and Reverie. As they reached the ship, something exploded behind them. Blaster fire lit up the sky. Ambush. Kalara shouted, drawing her sword. Connor ducked behind cover, grabbing a nearby stun baton. I knew this would happen. I knew it. The attackers were fast, wearing dark armor and helmets with no symbols. Definitely not locals. Kalara fought like a storm, spinning, slicing, and protecting Connor like a true warrior. Connor managed to shock one of the attackers in the leg. Ah, I got one. Kalara kicked another down. Celebrate later. After a short battle, the attackers fled. Connor sat down, breathing hard. You know, I miss boring days. Kalara smirked. Get used to exciting ones. We've only just begun. The wreck belt was not a friendly place. It was a giant floating graveyard of broken ships, shattered satellites, and forgotten space debris. A storm of metal and old war tech swirled in deep space, dangerous even for the best pilots. Connor stared out the ship's window. This place looks like a robot apocalypse. Kalara sat at the controls, her face serious. We'll have to fly manually. Auto-nav systems can't handle this chaos. Connor gulped. Please tell me you've done this before. I've done harder. That's both comforting and terrifying. As they entered the wreck belt, sharp pieces of metal scraped the ship's shields. Lights flickered. Connor held onto the console tightly. Remind me, he said, why are we going into the most dangerous part of space again? To find the Black Sun Syndicate, Kalara said, steering around a spinning battle cruiser, and stop them before they start a war. After what felt like hours of dodging space junk and silent wrecks, they spotted something strange. A massive station, hidden inside the remains of a dead mothership. Lights glowed from within. Ships came and went quietly, using old Reverie and Earth tech. Connor leaned closer to the screen. They're building something. Is that a weapon? Kalara narrowed her eyes. No, that's a fleet. Hundreds of ships were docked inside. Some were clearly Reverie designs, others were human. Many looked newly built. They're not just planning a strike. Connor whispered. They're preparing for a full invasion. Suddenly, alarms blared. We've been spotted, Kalara shouted. A warning light flashed. Enemy ships were launching. Connor jumped to the controls. I'm not a pilot, but I am an engineer. Give me 2 minutes. I might be able to scramble their sensors. Kalara handed him a toolkit. Do it. I'll buy us time. She flew the scout ship like a comet, spinning and diving through wreckage while Connor opened a panel and worked fast, wires sparking around him. 1 minute, he shouted. Lasers fired all around them. The shields were holding, but not for long. 30 seconds. A direct hit rocked the ship. Connor, Kalara called. Done, he yelled, slamming the panel shut. Sending false signal now. Suddenly, the enemy sensors went dark. The attacking ships paused, confused. Kalara didn't waste time. She hit the boosters and shot through the debris field, vanishing into the stars. After they escaped, Connor collapsed into a chair. Please tell me we're done with near-death moments for the day. Kaylara, still at the controls, said, "We're not done. We have proof now. The Black Sun Syndicate is real, powerful, and ready to strike. We must return to the palace immediately." Connor nodded, his face serious now. "And when we do, we tell your mother and the council. We tell everyone. Because if they don't stop this, no one will." Kaylara looked at him with pride. "You've changed, Connor." He gave a tired smile. "I'm just trying to keep up with my wife."